everyone. I'm here today with Rob Goschel, the VP of Sales for North America. I've been wanting to actually interview Rob, but he's so busy these days. I wanted him to actually talk about why Prexion. Everybody knows Prexion is the exclusive, and I don't give exclusivity to a lot of companies, but it's the exclusive provider of CBCTs and dentistry in general, and there is a reason for that, and we'll talk about that. I wanted him to explain why Prexion and give us a little bit of a presentation, and we have some new products that are coming out that you're going to talk about. Rob, go ahead and kind of introduce yourself and tell us a little about you and how you are involved with Prexion and how you started.
Yeah, so Bob, great question, and thanks for having me here. I started with the company in a very opportune or inopportune time, I guess you can depend on how you look at it. Back in April of 2020, really during the height of the pandemic. Have a career about 20 years long and working for various dental manufacturers, primarily on the merchandise side of things. Spent a long time with 3M, Procter & Gamble, but did also spend some time doing hand pieces, working in that business with NSK, right there in your area in Chicago. And so this was an opportunity. My manager, who I actually used to work for at NSK, he's now the president and CEO. His name's Yasutoyo Amada. It's a Japanese manufacturer. I was always impressed when I worked for NSK with the processes, the quality of the products, and also I think the personal nature of the relationship. Japanese companies very much value that personal relationship with the doctors and getting that word of mouth out about the product itself and how it can benefit other dentists and practicing clinicians. And so I came to work for the company then. The company has actually been out selling CBCT in the US market now for 18 years, since 2005. Our US headquarters is in San Jose, California. Right by the airport there, and we have a fairly decent sized showroom with all of our models set up, so Bay Area doctors can come and take a look, get to play with the software, that type of thing. And we also use all of those because we really pride ourselves on our customer service. And so our customer service is there. We answer all their technicians that answer the phone. We don't pass you off to several different people, of course, and like is often the case, or you have to wait on hold for an extended period of time. We answer 99% of calls by the second ring. And if we can't figure out what the issue is by going remotely into the computer, we actually will send one of our technicians out to try to replicate the issue on one of our showroom machines. And so that enables us to be very, very quick to find the issue, excuse me, and then also to propose and find the solution very quickly, get back to the doctor or to the office and help with that. So it's pretty the operation that we run is a very customer centric organization and operation, and really we pride ourselves on that the image quality that we bring to the table, the customer service that we provide, and the service throughout the entire process, and then the education. And I think for us, it's not just about obviously putting a product in someone's hands, because you'll figure that out, but we want you to be confident with it. We want to train the doctor and the office team so that they fully utilize and get the most benefit out of the products. And I think that's where we're a little bit different. I mean, we really kind of handhold through that process a little bit more. But the end results are just fantastic customer relationships we have. I know we get more peer-to-peer recommendations than any of our peers as well, or any of our competitors as well. So that's a lot of what Prexion is about and what we bring to the table.
And you were telling me earlier that the surveys you guys have run kind of put you guys up there as far as name recognition these days, that you guys are making a name because, I always say, I quote Marcus Lemonis of this show, The Prophet, the people, product, and the process. And if a company has those three, you can actually look at a successful company. So you guys have the people, because I've been dealing with you guys now for a couple of years. The product is excellent. I know that for a fact. And the process, which is the customer service and how you guys are approaching service, is important. Doctors need that. So this is the survey you were talking about?
Yeah, so we did this, just give you kind of the Cliff Notes version of this, Bob, but we did basically, we took we did a survey back at the end of February, and we asked 30 questions, mainly about different topics within technology and adoption of technology, perceptions, things of that nature. This question 25 was basically just a very simple, are you familiar with this manufacturer, or are you not? Yes or no. And we came out, and you can kind of see because I've circled the where Prexion came out. We came out in fourth. Now it's technically third because two of those, the most recognized brands, were Cavo, Dexis, iCat at 42%. Makes some sense. They've been in the market for a long period of time. And then third was Gendex, Sordex, and Instrumentarium, which basically are their older brands, which they no longer sell under, but they've been around for the longest period of time in the U.S. market. But if you notice, we're right behind there. We're tied with Plan Mecca at 39% or 78 of the respondents. And we're really proud of this because if you were to look at this survey that we took about 5 years ago, back in 2018, we were probably about half the brand recognition, if you will, at that point in time, probably right around 20 points, maybe just slightly higher. So we've really got a lot of awareness, and I think it's been through partnerships like ours with Dentistry in general, and just some of the other activities that we've been doing, some of the key opinion leaders that we've been supporting, and some of that, which really helps. I mean, we put our money where our mouth is. We would basically, about 2/3 of our marketing budget goes specifically to education events. We don't do a ton of advertising. We provide education so that the clinician who's been thinking about cone beam for a while feels confident. They understand how they're going to use the product in practice, and then once they decide to move forward with the purchase, walking them through the entire purchase process, the installation, and then an in-office training experience. We never do Zoom training. It's always in office that we do with the doctor and the office team, and making sure that everybody is very comfortable. And oh, by the way, our trainers are company employees, so they can give their business card and have questions asked of them after the fact as well. It's not like many of our competitors where you're basically looking at a 1099 employee, and once they're done, and good luck, call the company, that type of thing. We don't have that at all. Anybody that they come in contact with, a customer comes in contact with Prexion, can be called anytime because they're all company employees.
Yeah, and Prexion is a Japanese company. It's manufactured in Japan.
Correct. Yes, in Western Japan. That's correct. Yep.
One of the things I wanted to talk about before you even start your presentation about these things is that why I recommend Prexion, and members of my group know that I don't just recommend anyone. I don't care if you're advertising my group or don't. There has to be a reason that I would consider Prexion for my own practice. Knock on wood, my cone beam has not broken. If it breaks, I'm not getting any other unit. I'm getting a Prexion. And the number one reason for me is the warranty. It's the 10-year warranty that a lot of these companies used to give a 1 year or 2 year or 3 year. And then after that, you had to pay. I literally paid $3,000 a year after year 3. And Prexion gives you I use the bumper to bumper for cars, bumper to bumper warranty for 10 years. It just blows my mind. I get angry actually when I hear that, because that's a good $15,000 to $20,000 of warranty that I would have paid if I would have continued, if they would have allowed me to continue. They don't even offer it after 5 years. Tell me a little about this warranty and why you guys came down with this 10-year warranty.
So this happened, actually, I can't take credit for this. This tech happened before my time, but I will tell you what ended up happening was we were seeing a exceedingly low number of repairs, number one. And number two, we were seeing a lot of doctors that wanted to get into the market. We're also concerned. I mean, it's a sizable investment, probably one of the biggest that you're going to make in your practice. And they wanted to have some level of confidence. And so we were at the time we were at 5, and then we extended to 7. And then there was an internal discussion, what if we went to 10? What would that look like? Because to be quite honest, most companies can share data with you that the vast majority of issues that you have with the cone beam are going to come in years 6 through 10. And so a 5 year is kind of easy, a 7 year, okay, but we really stretched it out. And I think that what I like about it and why we feel comfortable, because we know the product is top notch, it's well made. The processes that we follow at our factory in Japan are ones that are there's to the extent that if we go into a test phase before the unit is broken down and then actually put into boxes to come over to be imported to the US. If there's any testing that comes out negative on that, we go and look at it again. We stop the process and we find out where the issue is. If it means we need to replace one of the parts right then and there, that is exactly what we do. So I am 100% confident when I can tell you and tell anyone who's watching this podcast that basically when you get it in your office and we set it up, it is going to work and perform exactly as we have intended for it to do. And that's a really big thing. And then the last thing I would say about the 10 years is, with that 10-year period, for most doctors, the average lifespan now is going up. The products are better made overall, much like cars are staying on the road longer today. But I would say like 8 to 10 to 12 years, we're probably getting to about that time frame when most doctors are replacing. So the great news is for many doctors, 10 years will be the time where technology will have changed in the products and it's time to look for another one. So it's very, very close, if not for most customers, a lifetime warranty for their product. So it takes a lot of that worry out because some of the parts, the X-ray tube, the flat panel detector are very expensive parts and they don't have to worry about those for a full 10 years.
Well, crazy. Yeah, talk to me about this. And I saw this, you sent it to me privately. You guys have won this 3 straight years as far as the best of class. This is for CBCTs, basically?
Yeah, so Cellular Technology, I'll tell everybody what it is because sometimes it's a little bit confusing. Cellular Technology is a group of dental key opinion leaders. There's actually a total of 7 of them, and they do some consulting for companies and businesses that are currently manufacturing and based outside the United States that are interested in coming into the United States. And one of the things they do every year is they meet in a hotel meeting room in Chicago during the Chicago Midwinter meeting, and they vote on technology awards called the Cellular Best of Class Technology Awards. And for example, this year, I believe there were 15 categories of different types. 3D printing, for example, is one. We have won now 3 years in a row for the main category of CBCT. And so 2021, 2022, 2023, they meet at Chicago Midwinter. They announce formally at the beginning of September. So we're really proud to say that we won this year here as well, which was just announced a couple of months ago. And it really goes to show that the product that we're putting out there is one. They do extensive research and then they all sit together in that room, review the research and vote. My understanding is it's got to be a unanimous call for the company to win the award. So maybe companies are thrown out there, but we have won this 3 years in a row. So what I think this says to me and to your members is that that you can feel very confident that the product you're purchasing and installing in your office is of quality, and that not only is Prexion saying that, but your peers and dental key opinion leaders are saying that as well.
Excellent, excellent. So you have a presentation you wanted to go through for us?
Yeah, I'd like to just spend a little bit of time today kind of walking through just a few things that, now we're in Q4, of course. We tend to sell not the majority, but quite a bit of product during Q4 because of things like Section 179 depreciation. And what I'd like to kind of walk through are just kind of a few tools that anyone can use. They can go onto our website at their leisure and take a look at this. But one of the things we added, and interest rates are getting higher. Everybody knows that. This is not a secret, of course, and of course that does make payments go up a little higher for everyone. But what this is on our website, and basically you can just search or you can type in that exact web address above on the top of the screen, Prexion ROI calculator, and it basically will allow someone to take a look at exactly how many procedures they need to do, first of all, to make their payment back, but then what different scenarios would look like from an incremental revenue standpoint. And our team, we don't really go ahead and we don't go into that much detail. What we typically will do is show a doctor, and these are, by the way, very, very conservative numbers on the revenue side. Probably in the bottom 10th percentile, and mainly would be found in maybe some rural areas that you would not would be not for most doctors would qualify within these areas. So they're very, very conservative. So within that being said, though, is in the example I'm showing here, one endo and one implant case per month post purchase of their Prexion cone beam. And an equipment cost, just a very round figure here of $64,000, translates to revenue generation of $2,300 per month and annually of $27,600, lower left-hand corner of the screen. And what this calculator does is it shows what the payment would be like at 4 years, 5 years, and 7 years, and then what that would look like from the difference in payment versus the monthly payment versus the revenue generated on a monthly basis in terms of incremental revenue. That's what that's showing there is a difference of payment. If it was less, it would actually have brackets around it and show it being low. So these are all incremental revenue. So even at a 4-year loan and basically you're going to see a difference in payment of $800 additional by just adding one endo case as well as one simple implant case. And so, 5.5%, I will mention, Bob, we've actually changed this. We're now actually using 7% on here. So it will come down a bit, but I want everybody to understand that there's not a lot of additional dentistry that has to be done to make your money back on a cone beam. It has a high ROI, and that's essentially what this is showing. And if you go to our website, you can play around yourself with this and kind of see what these numbers look like. We talked a little bit about this, but our company is really around image quality, education, and service, and we will continue to build the company along that core foundation. And as I get into showing kind of what we're doing from a new strategy perspective with product launches, that's actually increasing the size of our line by 300%, which is one of the things I'm really excited to share with the DIG audience here early on, is to let you know that we're still, the guiding foundation is still part of that whole thing. And one thing I also want to share on that service side of things, this is a pretty interesting thing, Bob, and I think if you look at this slide, we had last year in 2022 just under 3,000 unique calls, 2,986 to be exact. Now, if someone calls twice the same day, that's logged as a single call. It has to be for a unique issue, and then we have a ticket that's created. If the person calls for the same issue, it's put under that ticket. So these are 2,986 unique calls. But what you'll see is, of that, only 209 or 7% required an on-site technician to visit because of a hardware issue. So stated another way, 93% of calls that we receive can be solved remotely in just a matter of a few minutes and get the office on with their day. And so that's something we're really, really proud of. And I think something that, again, for that, this is technology you're using in your practice. You can't be down, you can't be waiting for an extended period of time for someone to come fix it. No, this is that. And if you are in that 7% of cases, we commit to having a technician in your office within 48 hours. So, really, really kind of walking the walk and talking the talk, so to speak, within this. So good information there. The other information before I talk about the new products I want to share is, some doctors have expressed interest in other software packages. And we have a very good package that comes with the unit. There's no additional license fee charge. It's called Prexion 3D Viewer. I describe it as excellent viewing software and good planning software. So is it the best out there? Does it have every bell and whistle? To be honest with you, probably not. But that's why we're now partnering with a company formerly known as Anatomage, now Osteoid. They split their dental business off, but the product is called Invivo Workspace. They have been working with formerly Danaher, now Envista Holdings, and their product now under the Dexis brand for many years. And so doctors that have had experience with this at one point or another, this makes your life even easier. You can actually incorporate and have the scans from Prexion, an even better quality image, I will argue, to go directly into the Invivo product and in vivo will, and using their software package allows things like planning the finished abutment and crown. We don't have that in Prexion 3D Viewer. And then there's some other smaller things that are part of it as well. And just obviously a little bit different offering than what Prexion can offer out of the box. And so this is something that's part of that. And I want to mention this is now available to anyone who owns a Prexion or who is considering purchasing a Prexion. And on the second page here, their workspace is their fastest growing portion of the business. These are some of the things about the pricing. And the nice thing about the workspace is it allows doctors to seamlessly move files across platforms. So in other words, if you're working with an oral surgeon, a periodontist, an orthodontist, an endodontist, and that you want them to have access to the files, you can place them into a common folder, and there's no communication, no email back and forth. It's a very easy, simple procedure. And oh, by the way, this also can transfer to a home laptop computer. So if a doctor is at home at night, didn't have time, or wanted to get home and have dinner with the family, they can also access their cases later at night and do planning.
Rob, let's pause here for a
Sure.
second, because this is, I think it's really important.
Yes.
This is new. I didn't know about this. How new is this?
So we've been doing this this year. Here in 2023 was our first year kicking off. Actually, it was about mid-year, July is when we started kicking this program off, and we've had more and more. One of the things where this I think applies well is, again, that doctor that maybe is on their second cone beam and they're looking to replace, that they want maybe a little bit different offering or software, or again, they were a user of a Cavo branded instrumentarium, something in the past, and they don't want to learn new software. And we fully understand that's a challenge, especially when you're busy with running a practice. To have to learn something brand new with on the fly is never easy. So this really gives some more flexibility. And what we're trying to do as a company is just provide choices. Everybody likes choices. This is a choice that we're giving. And whether you choose to do it on a subscription basis, like you see on the screen in front of you, or buy a perpetual license at the front end, which are available as well, we want to give that choice. I will say for most of our customers, Prexion 3D Viewer is going to work just fine. But if you get down the road and you want something with more robust capabilities, we have that too.
But this basically works as a cloud. I'm a big cloud proponent, and this works as basically a cloud storage and viewing of your Prexion. As you said, we work hard during the day. You need to, plan this implant, or you just forget and you go home. You can log on and you can basically do implant planning on this software, correct?
Exactly, Bob, and that's why this is I think such a great opportunity and great offering, because that's 100% correct. We our own software is going to be, because of the large file sizes we're talking about with the DICOM file, has to be connected to specifically to the office, hardwired into the office, and so that's not possible. But in vivo, they have a platform now that does allow for remote access of cases from vacation, even, for example, if you've got a few extra minutes or you're trying to kill some time wherever that might be. As long as you have a good Wi-Fi connection, you can access your cases.
Yeah, and I also know that I think your company is working closely with Dentrix Ascend, that
Yes.
they are hopefully soon will be introducing it, because they have about 5 or 6 different cone beam brands that they are, and Prexion will be one of them soon, as I had continuously requested it from them.
That
This
is
is
correct.
great.
That is correct. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
No, that's good. Good stuff.
and the other thing I wanted to kind of mention, since I interrupted you here, is that, the ROI calculator is nice, right? I mean, I know everybody looks at these things, and all the consultants and everybody talks about ROI, but I never calculate the ROI of a dental chair. I never calculate the ROI of the mirror that I'm holding. These are tools
True.
that we need these days, right?
True.
I mean, sure, I'm sure you're going to introduce that pan only, that some doctors only want a standalone panoramic. But look, I had a case last month. I think I posted it in the group. A 2D x-ray did not show, and this patient has pain, and we're suspecting something, and a cone beam showed that there was a lesion on the root of that tooth. And we diagnose. For diagnosis purposes, a cone beam is priceless. And as far as implant planning goes, everybody knows these days that freehand, I guess a lot of people do still do freehand, but standard of care is becoming, implant planning and guided surgery and things like that.
Right, absolutely. No, 100% agree with you there. And that's, the technology, I mean, we're hopeful that at some point it does become the standard of care. And it's rapidly, the adoption is moving certainly in that direction. And every year more and more doctors, of course, incorporate the technology in their practice. So, and I've never heard of one, not in my at least in my 3.5 years in the company, that's ever regretted it. They really, really like and appreciate the ability to see in 3 dimensions their scans. So
Right, right.
yep. So just one other thing I wanted to mention, and this is important for this time of year, especially if someone's thinking about installing. One of the great things about Prexion, another thing, and I don't think we talk about this enough as a company, but we use what's called a thin client server. And it was originally designed for Japanese hospital settings so that you could actually look at an X-ray in multiple operatories at the same time. And essentially, the acquisition computer that comes with the purchase serves as that server for the operatories. And all we have to do is basically place using a USB flash drive, a part of that or that software within every operatory, and it can be accessed as many places as possible. So what that means is several things. Number one, there's no license fees. And if you have 2 operatories, we can put it in 2 operatories. And if you have 10 or 12, we can put it in 10 or 12, as many operatories as you have or you want to use the images in. Um,
This
the other thing is, and this
this
is
is
important because
important. I want
this
to
is,
interrupt you again.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, go
This
ahead.
is very important because more and more offices are going to cloud. They're going to cloud software, and a lot of cloud software, they can't really handle these large files. So they're like, oh, I use a lot of CBCTs. And I tell them, look, you can still use the acquisition computer as a file server, and you can access it as many as computers as you can. This is what you're saying, that you actually help the docs install this and set it up. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct. And then the other part of it is there's no you don't have to have your IT guy come out and put a bunch of expensive graphics cards in, which can sometimes be hard to find because still a lot of people are working from home. These NVIDIA high-speed graphics cards, typically by most of our competitors, are necessary to run the software in each individual operatory. And that's why they'll say, well, if you want to put it in multiple operatories, we'll give you 3 or 4, and then other ones you have to pay a fee above that. Prexion doesn't do that at all. You can have it as many operatories as you want. And oh, by the way, it's a faster, easier install on the front end because you don't have to call your IT professional. You don't have to have them come out and install a bunch of pricey graphics cards because our thin client server works off that acquisition computer. It's not necessary. And so the upgrades that are often needed, we've heard doctors quoted before $2,000 to $3,000 or more. That's not even anything getting into their purchase. That's just before to get ready to go and start with their CBCT. So it's important to know these kinds of things on the front end. Not only is not only is there a cost savings, but of course it's faster and easier from an installation perspective as well. And we're not waiting on other people to do things before we can install.
Absolutely.
Yep. So that's that as well. And then the other thing, and so I want to kind of transition now to the new products and part of our strategy. And I think Bob, I think that the members are going to really appreciate kind of what we're trying to do here and as a company as we've looked at the market. So it's been an interesting market. Obviously, inflation has been high over the last few years, but one of the things we've noticed is there's been sort of a stratification of the market. Some doctors are looking for less expensive options, and that's why I think the used equipment market has grown rather substantially in the last 5 years, in particular the last 2. But then also there has been a need for higher end as well, as more doctors are doing things like airway analysis for sleep apnea and treatment and sleep diagnostics in general, TMJ work, ortho as well. So we're basically, it's not enough to just have one mid-priced. We need to cover a larger segment where the doctor's needs are being covered depending on how they want to practice dentistry and what types of treatment they want to do. So what we're looking at right now is sort of a pre fall of 2023 Prexion. So the yellow X's are places where we didn't compete. The black dots are places where we did, and we really only competed in mid-priced and high-end or premium cone beam. That was basically it. Any of the other categories you see on there. And so these are some of our, these are probably 10 of the top competitors. I don't know, we might have missed a company or two in there, but most of the top competitors are captured on this chart. And you can see several of them have a more extensive imaging product portfolio than Prexion. And so our goal is to become kind of transition the company from what was been a outstanding CBCT solutions provider to an outstanding imaging solutions provider. So capturing more of the parts of the imaging portfolio. And so, and that's essentially what to keep in mind as I present these new products that we're launching. So without further ado, we are for the first time launching a what we would call economy priced or low end priced model. It is called Prexion 3D Evolve. And the price that you see on the screen there is about the mid 40,000 range, and it is Ceph upgradable. It has, and I'll show you here in a moment, the fields of view. It's great starter model for anyone that's looking for something that allows them to see, of course, in 3 dimensions and be able to diagnose much better. Obviously fields of view are a little bit more limited here, and that's generally what you're paying on when you look at it. But if you throw sales tax on there anywhere in the country, you're going to be under $50,000 on this model. And it is Ceph upgradable, as you can see as well, and that's going to be less than $60,000. If I look at this model a little bit more, you can see the 2 models on the screen here as I transition the slides. And there are 3 fields of view: a 5x5, a 6x9, and a 9x9. And that's one of the things I would challenge viewers to take a quick look at. If you're looking in this price point, a lot of times you really need to do your homework, and you need to look at closely what the manufacturer is providing. Most of our competitors in this space offer 1 field of view. So it might be an 8x8, it might be another size field of view, but we are really trying to put as much value into this product as possible, and that we're providing 3 fields of view, 5x5 that you can use for endo purposes, on up to a 9x9. And that essentially is where Evolve really stands out. And
So,
so there's also a dedicated pan mode as well. Yeah, go ahead.
gotcha. Oh, dedicated pan mode. That's what I was going to ask. And the other question is, basically, these fields are fields that you need for endodiagnosis and implant planning, right?
Correct. Yes,
So that's
absolutely. So
basically what.
people ask that a lot. Can you do implant planning in 9x9? Absolutely. Can you do it all on 4? No, it's not going to be big enough for that. But for single unit implants, it's going to work just fine. Absolutely.
And someone who's doing all on 4 should be really getting the premium Prexion, top of the line, so you can do all kinds of things. But yeah, this is a great product. Go ahead.
Great. Yeah, so that's that. And then the other thing that I'm excited to announce is our first 2D model or pan called Prexion 2D Evolve. Now, I have had some questions and people kind of scratching their heads saying, wait a second, this is a dying market. Why are you getting into doing a 2D? What's special about launching a new pan when there is a ton of other pans out there? And while I will agree with that statement to a certain extent, I will also say the word evolve here and the brand actually will show this very interestingly. You notice here, it's going to have a very good price point, about $21,000. That will include an acquisition computer. But the keywords on this page are 3D upgradable. So if I go back 3 slides, I have to go back a little bit more, take a look at this panel here. All right, then I go forward again. Whoops. And you can notice that the model itself, the panels are identical. The only difference is this is a pan sensor. The 3D has a flat panel detector for 3D capability. So what does that mean is, yes, it is upgradable. Someone who maybe doesn't have the budget right now because they've had some cost overruns on putting a new office in or doing some renovations or remodels of their office can purchase a 2D and upgrade later. And all it takes is one of our technicians coming in the office. It's about a 2-hour appointment. They will change the sensor out and provide and set up a brand new acquisition computer, and the office is on their way. It's a very simple, and it doesn't require the pulling out of a bunch of hardware and basically disrupting the office for a full day. So it's a really nice to know that that's there. Now the pricing will be a little bit different. The upgrade price is about $29,000. So yes, you do get a break by buying the 3D up front, but it is an option. And that's kind of what we're trying to bring to the table here. And it's a very good pan. And of course, it's 3D upgradable and also Ceph upgradable, as you can see in the image on the right of the screen. And we have the 2 sensor version. We will have the ability to special order a 1 sensor version. This is where the sensor would be actually pulled out of the panel. Most doctors don't want to deal with that, and so we don't think we'll probably sell a lot of those in the U.S. In some countries, they're very popular, but essentially that's a special order item. But the 2 sensor, of course, will be the main item that we will have here. 1 sensor, of course, for the pan, and then the 2nd sensor for the Ceph. And pardon me, there's a number of adaptive filters that have been built into this. It's a very good quality pan, very good image overall. And whoops, moving my trigger finger there. But basically, you can see it's going to have it's a nice opportunity and a nice offering. And there also are some doctors, pediatric dentists, for example, that may not have the need for a CBCT based on how they practice dentistry. And now we have an option for them as well. So a fully 3D and Ceph upgradable 2D model is something also we're bringing to the table. And those are Evolve. And actually, I'll tell you, Bob, a funny story. That the Evolve brand, obviously our brands have all been E. People ask if we like Ford because we're E-branding just like their SUVs. And I said, no, not really. It didn't really come from that. But what I will say is the word evolve actually for this model makes a lot of sense because the 2D pan can literally evolve into a 3D with the change of the sensor. So that's a simple way also to remember the brand is the Evolve is that in that manner as well.
Right. I want to stress here that I don't think it's a dying breed. A lot of the pediatric dentists have no use for a cone beam, and there are more and more pediatric dentists graduating every year.
Yes.
So it is a good option.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then the next new product I wanted to mention, our top selling model of all time was our Prexion Excelsior. That model has been out since 2017, so it's been sold for the last 7 years. We have a lot of those in the field. Probably about 70% of all Prexions that are out of the United States are that Excelsior model, and this is basically just an improvement. It's called Expedition, and you can see it has a little bit of a different aesthetic, a little different more modern design. But if you say, well, how is Expedition different? I would basically state, whoops, that's not. Let me click to there. There we go. Expedition basically is it is a brand new panel with some new technology, which I'll explain here in a second. We've really balanced the image quality against low radiation dosage. And really, also, this is a universal voltage model. What that means is basically the Excelsior was a 110 only, so it could only ever be sold in the United States. With this model, this allows us some flexibility to sell in multiple markets around the world, which gives us some economies of scale from a pricing perspective, from an offering perspective as well. So that's the big part of this. And with Excelsior, we had fields of view that were up to 8 centimeters in height. With this new Expedition, one of the very different things about it is we now have the main field of view that most doctors will use is a 12.5 centimeter by 10 centimeters. So we've increased the height by 2 full centimeters, which will do 2 things, I think. Number one, it's going to make it easier from an assistant standpoint to actually line the patient in the machine. They don't have to be quite as exact because you've got a little bit more height there. And also from a diagnostics perspective, I think it's going to help most doctors as well. What we had received a lot of comments on is, nobody's really been that concerned with the front to back. It's, can you give us a little bit more height so we can see and capture a little bit more in the image? And that's essentially what that does. As you can see, there's also a 5x5, an 8x8, a 15x15 optional stitched mode, and then a CT TMJ mode as well. So a lot of good options in here, and I would say optimal fields of view based on what had been requested popularly by customers. There is also a panoramic only mode, a 2D pan only mode, so that's still part of the model, and then a Ceph mode as well, which is optional, of course, with this model. And then I want to explain a little bit about this panel because I think this is kind of interesting. I know, Bob, you're a big fan of technology and looking at new things that come out. So IGZO is one of the interesting things here. If you look at all of our other specs, they haven't changed. So I'm proud to say that we're launching a new model which is using tried and true technology with which is going to with a couple of features which is going to make it even better. So we're using a 110K voltage, the smallest focal spot in the industry at 0.3 millimeters, an even smaller voxel size, the 360 rotation. A lot of the cone beams out there don't rotate fully. They'll use an algorithm to draw in the rest. And we feel really strongly that we want to capture everything all the way around the head to make sure that we're accurately representing what any type of pathology that patient has that they have in their mouth. So basically, there's that a little bit better grayscale, 16-bit. That it allows the doctor to see more of a contrast between bone and soft tissue, and then pulsar radiation rather than being one standard pulse or one standard bit of radiation. The fact that it turns on and off to help minimize radiation. But this flat panel detector, IGZO, is actually an acronym. It stands for indium, gallium, zinc, and oxide, four metals that make it up. And what's interesting about it is it's now being used in a lot of places, curved gaming monitors, smartphone displays. My understanding is the new Samsung Galaxy Flip and contains this IGZO technology, as well as a lot of the newer automobiles that have been launched, particularly the electrics that are utilizing these displays. They have smoother images and lower power consumption. A very simple way to talk about it. And if I look and turn your attention to this next slide, a lot of people look at this and say, oh, this is confusing. So let me just very quickly explain it without having to go into it in a lot of detail. The big thing about IGZO is that it conducts current higher than a traditional amorphous silicon conductor, which is used in current flat panel detectors. And so what happens here is more of that current is being used. There's less leakage of the current. So that current is being used to capture the image. And then because of that, that allows more transmittance per pixel, allowing for a better, higher, smoother, higher quality, smoother image with better contrast and even better noise reduction. So that additional current is being used to capture a better image is a very simple statement that you can make with this IGZO technology. So that's something that I wanted to kind of mention there as well. We compare also, Bob, a lot of the low dose in terms of how we come to the table versus some of our competitors. And one of the things I will say is we've changed our modes. Our modes used to be standard, high definition, ultra high definition. They're now low dose, high definition, and endo. And one of the things that's really interesting because we more than our competitors, and other talking about our image quality here, we use a smaller voxel, which generally results in a better image. But also the unique thing about Prexion is we're also able to combine that with a lower dosage. And so it's the best of both worlds for the doctor because sometimes patients are worried about radiation exposure. We're giving them a low dosage with a better quality image. And so the extent that, I can tell you one of the brands up here on the screen, we heard almost nobody uses that mode because the image quality is so poor. They have to trade up to a higher definition image. So with low dose, I would say about 80% of the doctors will be using this low dose mode, which used to be called our standard mode. So
Gotcha.
that's good too. Dimensions are almost identical to the previous model. Just kind of putting this up here very quickly as well. And then one other nice little thing, if someone decides, we've actually got a little bit of universality, the model, the stand, if necessary, in parts of the Midwest because we sell a heavy model here. It's almost 400 pounds. So if we're over a basement or a crawl space on a second floor or higher, we'll actually use the mounting stand to balance the weight better front or back because we're basically drilling 4 bolts directly into the floor. And unless we're going into a 4-inch poured concrete foundation, this base or pedestal stand is invaluable, of course. And then on the stitched mode, we actually changed the mode because we used to go upper to lower. So the machine would rotate 360 degrees, drop down 6 inches, and rotate again. Was fine, but sometimes that would hit the patient's shoulders. Now we're going top bottom to top to completely eliminate that possibility.
Gotcha.
And then lastly, these are just some specs. I'm not going to really spend much time on this, but again, just a general improvement over our top selling Excelsior model. And you can see some of the scan times there, which are very low compared to many of the others, 8 seconds, 12 seconds, and 25 seconds, respectively, on the low dose, high definition, and endo modes. And then, finally, and this is the last exciting news I wanted to mention, because you saw the slide where I talked about getting into other categories. We're also getting into the opportunity to launch for the first time ever an intraoral scanner called Evolve iOS. And approximately the price approximately 18,000. And then the first ever Prexion sensor called Evolve Sensor, available in size 1 and size 2. And this one I'm really excited about because we're coming in at a price point that is below pretty much every competitor in this industry. So it's a really well-made sensor. The cord itself, it's about a $200 replacement part. A doctor can actually change it out in the office themselves. You don't necessarily have to have a technician come and do that, or send them back, and then your sensor is gone from your practice for 4 to 6 weeks while it's being repaired. So some nice other additional features about these sensors. And again, I'll kind of tie that all together by stating that we are really transforming this company to a dental imaging solutions company from just a CBCT. And the last slide I have to present, and then you can ask me any more questions you want, goes back to the first one. So this was pre-launch of these new categories. This is now post where we are today. The entire Prexion line is pictured in the photographs at the bottom of the screen. So you can see a total of 5 models, 1 2D, 4 3D. The intraoral scanner, and then the intraoral sensors as well. And so the only 2 items that you can see we don't have right now, the intraoral X-ray unit is the wall mount. I'm not sure we're going to go there. Many doctors, not many doctors when they remodel are putting them in as much more. These have kind of fallen off a lot, and we are working on a handheld X-ray. Of course, those have to be registered by state, so it's a little bit longer process. So give us a little bit of time on that one, but you can see how we are now comparing much more favorably across all of the various competitors in this category. So a lot of information I'm throwing at your at your members here, but Prexion has made a lot of changes in the last 30 days.
Yeah, that's awesome. I guess I can just summarize everything you said in in 30 seconds. You're saying that, look, their CBCT has the best warranty, low dosage, and great images. And this 2D imaging is something that a lot of my members actually asked for. They call me and says, I don't want to spend $50,000 or even $45,000 on, I only need a 2D pan. So this is excellent. And these are going to be available soon. Are they available now?
They actually are available now. So we have them in stock, and we can install them this year in 2023. So yes, they're all ready to go. Yep.
And I know we have special pricing with All Practice Solutions, our partner for the group, and Rod will help people out. Hey, I wanted to thank you for doing this, and hopefully we can get together. I know we have a CBCT interpretation that was sponsored by Prexion, by Dr. Andreessen, and I talked to Ruud before. We're going to have more of these lectures, actually educational parts of it, so we can benefit the members as far as educating them goes.
100%. We definitely will support that. And I think like someone like Dr. Andreessen, I mean, it's all about educating both the doctor that's interested in purchasing and wants to really understand what they can do with the technology, as well as the current user, because everybody can learn a little bit of something with how they capture images, to different ways to diagnose. That's one of the great things, and I think you would agree with this, having one yourself, Bob, is that you're always learning new things when you look at scans, because no 2 patients are alike, so you're picking up new things all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for being here, and hopefully we'll do this again.
Excellent. Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.